Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Topics with Tim. I am
Do, do,
joined
do,
by
do, do.
special guest Lara. Lara, how are you doing today? I would love to hear.
I'm doing great.
Doing great. I love the background, by the way. We were talking about that earlier. Love that
Yeah,
background. Super jealous of it.
I own a lot of movies, so
What is your
there you
favorite
go.
movie of all time?
Oh, oh, you should prepare me for that. So, okay,
Yeah. By the way, there's gonna be questions that
really,
are just gonna come at you, so just be prepared.
that's fine. I'm ready. So, I like The Big Lebowski. It's over here somewhere. Big Lebowski, The Journey of Natty Gann. I should have pulled those movies down.
I know what your third favorite movie of all time is.
What's my third favorite?
Star Wars: Phantom Menace.
Oh, yeah, when it comes to favorite movies, like nothing could possibly be any worse than The Phantom Menace.
Me and Lara here, we have a lot of discussions around Star Wars. So the backstory, I work with Lara at the Harris Center in Folsom,
Work.
and we have a lot of downtime as in the theater tech world. And so we're always hanging out. I always get in trouble because she usually works in wardrobe. I'm usually working at like props or something. And I always leave my station to go hang out in wardrobe with you and the rest of the ladies because you guys are just more
Who could
fun.
not be
Yeah.
bothered to be here today. So,
Whatever. We'll get them on. We'll get them on.
yeah,
We'll get them on. They'll see this and they'll be like, we got to get on.
right. But
Um,
you were talking about me.
Yes, I was. So Laura here is awesome. She's basically provides a bunch of food for us because sometimes we're there. When you're at the theater and you're working a show, you essentially live there for about 3 or 4 days. You're there all day long, even though you only do about a few hours work of actual work. You're just there. You just have to be there. That's just the world of theater. So
It's
Laura here
always
is
fun
amazing.
because
She's a
you
great
show
cook
up
and
at
is
like noon, or you show up maybe like right after breakfast, and then you forget that lunch exists. And then around 6 o'clock, you take a break. So everybody's always hungry at the theater.
yes, always. And we're always slightly bored. I feel like, which you're more likely to
There's
eat
a
when you're
lot of
bored.
boredom. But I'm not the only one that provides food. Our coworkers who couldn't be bothered to join this Zoom meeting, they also participate. So maybe we can talk about feeding people, Tim, on another episode.
Yes. But I just wanted to, Laura, you are honestly amazing she's always super generous with giving food and always is a great cook, honestly. So I'm always, even when I'm not expecting it, she'll be like, oh, I made this, like, there's some leftovers in the fridge. And I'm like, you're amazing. Because I'm always hungry. I'm a
Every
food
time I look at him, if
machine.
I offer him food, like, he's down.
Yes, I'm always down for food. There's no doubt about it.
Actually, I think I think that most people are the same way. Like here, I made this. Oh yeah, I'll put that in my face. Sure.
And I love hanging out with Laura and the wardrobe ladies.
We are
They're
great.
just, you guys are awesome, and we just gossip and talk hair and talk movies and whatever. And
That
so we
sounds
just
like a
have a good
joke,
time.
but we have talked hair with you.
We do talk about, yeah. I've asked.
Yeah.
Well, Janelle, who is a hairstylist, I've asked for some tips on the hair. I have
Yeah.
not taken her advice though, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, but you don't have the weird. You were gonna separate these things, and you didn't do it. So
Not yet. Not right now.
he
Things could
takes
change.
direction pretty okay.
So anyway, me and Laura, we the other day what show were we working when we brought up this idea of doing a podcast together? It was the one where we brought the break room into the black box.
Yeah, I
What show
think it
was
was
that?
during that run of like 3 shows in a row over 9
Oh,
days.
that's right. That was a crazy run, but that was
No,
good money though.
it was, but I mean, I can't tell you what show it was because I don't even think I remember the individual shows anymore. I just know it as those 9 days that we worked all the time. Yeah, 9 days in a row of like 15-hour days.
Was it American in Paris?
Well, that was one of them.
Anyway, so we were talking about, I was like, hey, we should do a podcast on conspiracy theories.
I bought this book. The book is called Saucers of the Illuminati.
Oh, I love stories about the Illuminati.
This is by Jim Keith, who broke his leg falling off of a stage at Burning Man, and then mysteriously died in the hospital. All right. So, and he was saying, like, his last thing was, I don't think they're going to let me out of this. Like, they. So I bought this book, and it sparked off conversations about conspiracy theories, which I am about.
Yes. I do enjoy them too. I really enjoyed, have you read the Dan Brown books? Angels and Demons, Da Vinci Code. You read any of those books?
I read the first couple, and I enjoyed them. But I don't think I wasn't as conspiracy buff as I am now. So I've been wanting to go
conspiracy
back.
buff. Okay.
Well, yeah.
You're an expert.
I'm not an expert. I just really enjoy the shit out of it. Excuse me. Can I swear on your podcast?
You can. Just try to keep
we'll
it
try not to
as PG-13 as possible. But I understand if you're going to slip.
I get one F-bomb. I have to be strategic about it.
Exactly.
That's what PG-13.
It's exactly what it is.
Buff. I know these things.
Yep.
Yeah, so I've been wanting to read those Dan Brown books, but I can't. It's a really long waiting list to get them from the library because I ain't gonna buy that shit. Excuse me, I did it twice. Anyway, I'm not gonna buy it.
You have to up the rating here pretty quick.
But I'm not gonna buy it, but I'll totally borrow it from the public library. If you are not a member of your public library, you should be. You can apply for a card online, and you can borrow ebooks on your phone, and always have books.
Or your Kindle. Get a Kindle.
Or your Kindle.
I love my Kindle.
Kindle app on my phone.
In fact, Kindle Unlimited is offering a free month right now. So I hopped on that, and I downloaded a bunch of books of like a series I was waiting for so long for, to finally get to read it. So
you better get on that because you don't get those books after your membership expires.
Well, see, that's where you're wrong, Lara. You see, so
am I wrong?
maybe they fixed this flaw in the system, and maybe it's probably bad I'm admitting it now, but so I did this once before, and I kept my Kindle disconnected from Wi-Fi for months after my membership expired, and I still have all of those books. They have not taken them off. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to complain.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe they fixed that, or maybe it still works. I guess we'll find out. But
no, I'm pretty sure it's the same because unless they put a time bomb in your digital download, I think
the government's gonna come one day and like bust my door down and come arrest me for book theft.
Especially after this, like.
So the two theories that and I asked Lara here are conspiracy theories, but because I don't really know a lot of conspiracy theories, to be honest. I really don't know very many. I know about the one with the World Trade Center. I know about that one. I know about
which one? There are so many.
Is there more than one? Okay, see, here's what I mean. I'm a fish out of water here. I'm glad we have you on the show. So the two that Lara brought up were birds are not real.
Birds aren't real.
And there is no Finland. Finland does not exist.
Finland is also not real. Now, I want to just say this out front. Okay. I don't necessarily believe in the conspiracy theories that I enjoy.
Of course.
Maybe I do, but maybe I don't. The point is, just because I enjoy talking about it doesn't mean that I believe that birds aren't real. But then again, I don't actually know. So I'm open. Let's just say that.
Where are you percentage-wise? Birds aren't real. Is it 25%?
I guess.
Is it zero? Well, what percentage are you at of believability?
I'll give anything a 1% chance of believability. I don't want to go into it thinking like, well, these people are insane. And this is obviously not real. You want to be
open-minded.
I want to go into it. I have my own opinions. I believe that birds exist. I believe that they're, creatures that get born and stuff. But I am open to the possibility that I don't know things.
It's a very humble approach, right? We don't know everything.
I don't know.
So maybe birds aren't real. I'm now
there.
going to be looking at birds with a different set of eyes than I have in the past.
You got to admit, after reading that stuff, they have an answer for everything. These
Oh yeah,
people that
yeah.
believe that, like, they have an answer.
You can always
So,
craft something. You
yeah,
know, the
exactly. You
mind, the
can
mind's
always,
pretty powerful. Whenever you want to justify something that you want to
yeah.
believe, like your mind will find a way to connect the dots. It's human nature, right?
I totally agree. Yeah. In fact, I was reading, I wasn't reading, I was listening to this, these guys were talking about this study where like the right half of your brain and the left half of your brain um, operate different parts of your what make you you. Like one of them is the physical and one of them is more of like the visual or something like that. Anyway, they basically the gist of it was that given incomplete information, your mind will just fill in the gaps one way or the other. And sometimes that includes just bullshitting things out of thin air and even you don't know where they come from.
Hmm.
Sorry,
Agreed.
it's not the most detailed explanation. There was a whole lot more to it, but what it boiled down to was we'll just make some stuff up.
Yeah, our brains are very powerful that way and very influential that way, which is why I think sources are so important. That's why, because especially with this whole, I don't want to go too far into this. I just mentioned this as like with the whole coronavirus thing, right? Like all these statistics are being thrown at us on a regular
Right.
basis, right? But it's, I mean, you can if you've taken statistics, which most of us have in high school and such, like you can skew any statistic you want to make it say anything that you want. And so what's really important is the source. Do you trust the source? Is the source
Mm-hmm.
reputable, reliable? Is the testing that the source does reputable? So sourcing is important. And so I will give you, the source that I read for the birds aren't real is birdsaren'treal.org. So it's going to
If
be,
you're gonna
or
start
.com. So it's going to
somewhere,
be
you
pretty
have to
biased.
start. You gotta
So
start there.
so I read it almost as like I'm just reading a fiction for the most part, but it's pretty entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. Did you want to give
Okay.
us a brief overview on what you know about the birds aren't real?
Well, I mean, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, Tim. Like,
Oh no, believe me. Have you read birds.real.com? There is a whole story of it's well, like whoever wrote
well,
it, I'm impressed. It's very well done.
there's a lot. They have an answer for everything. Like, whatever answer you have right now at the top of this episode, they've got an answer for it. So the CIA, like in the late 40s, they had a big parking lot and birds would constantly shit on their cars. It happens, right? Like you don't want to park under that tree because birds gonna shit all over your car. Sorry, forgot about that. Anyway, they're doing their thing, they're doing their bird poop thing, and somebody at the CIA is like, you know what? We should just kill all the birds.
Right.
And then this other guy was like, yeah, and you know what? Communists are bad. I bet if we killed off some birds, we could replace them with like cameras and microphones, and we could root out communism because these birds can spy on people. And so, yeah, like they did.
That's really good. I'm on the website right now. I'm kind of following it as you're going, and you're hitting the main points, right? CIA. In fact, let me read this. I wanted to
Well,
read
what?
this. I thought it was pretty funny. So Dulles is he is Alan Dulles, and he was made the first civilian director of the CIA. This was in 1953. So
Right.
this is from the site. Dulles and his team hated birds with a passion and were heard on many occasions calling them flying slugs and scum of the skies, as they would
Scum
often
of the
poop on their
skies.
cars in the parking lot of the CIA headquarters and, quite frankly, all over the DC metro area. I believe this was one of the driving forces that led Dulles to not only implement robots into the sky, but actually replace birds in the process. They did not need to kill all of the birds and could have launched a quarter of the robot birds that they did, but the pigeons in DC at the time were absolutely ruthless. This is straight out of the
Yeah,
birdsaren'treal.com website. Hit around the head, right? They're pooping on the
there they are.
cars. CIA is pissed. They're like, hey, let's kill two birds with one stone. We get rid of the
Ha!
birds, get rid of the poop. We can spy on everyone and root out communism.
Word. How could they manage to kill off all the birds? one might rationally ask. Well, so they took, what is it, $65 million from the budget to make
Yep.
new B-52 bombers. B-52B bombers. The second B, you guessed it, it stands for birds. Uh, so they built these B-52 bombers with giant water tanks. And then the people that built those things and came up with all the plans and stuff, they took those dudes and sent them to the front lines of Vietnam so that they would just die. And then no one would know that they had built these special B-52 bombers. Yeah.
That's beautiful and well said. Well said. So I'm gonna read another segment out of here because
All right.
it's gold. It's literature gold here. Uh, so the Boeing you're talking about there was 23 men from Boeing Engineering
Mm-hmm.
that traveled to Area 51, apparently in the back of an old school bus,
Right.
to travel to Area 51 so they could build these new bombers. So, and this is straight from the website here. I thought it was hilarious. So it says, clearly the Boeing engineers didn't get the memo from duels about remaining undetected and actually painted Area 51 or bust on both sides of the bus. Whenever they would stop for gas, they would set up makeshift campsite in the parking lot and sing songs with titles such as I Left My Honey for Area 51 and Let's Kill All the Birds.
Let's kill all the birds. Oh, maybe that can be your theme song for this show. I mean, surely you know some musicians, right? Or have garage band. You
I
can
Left My Honey for Area 51. That could be my
let's
that should
kill
be
all
the
the
intro for our
birds.
show.
Yeah.
I left my honey for Area 51.
Let's kill all the birds.
Dude.
It's
Oh
great.
my gosh.
I'm a fan. I like this.
Oh, so
we were
funny.
we were talking before this about you can make the statistics match anything, really. It's
Mm,
called spurious correlations, and
mm,
it's basically making connections between things that actually literally have like zero connection. So
mm.
you can actually go to a website called spuriouscorrelations.com, and they will tell you, like, here are some things that correlate but have nothing to do with each other. Like, per
Mm.
capita cheese consumption corresponds to the number of people who died by being tangled in their bed sheets. So, like, people. So, yeah. Anyway,
That's
uh,
amazing. I need to. Oh, wait, what's that website called? I'm
it's
gonna
spurious correlations. I'll send it to you.
Spurious. How do you spell that? SP
SPURIOUS.
Spurious.
The divorce rate in Maine correlates with the per capita consumption of margarine. So the amount of
Oh,
margarine that is consumed in Maine correlates with the number of divorces. So, like in 2000, it was 4.95 per 1,000 divorces, compared to 8 pounds of margarine in a year. And then if you go down to 2009, they started to eat less margarine, but they also got divorced less. And this is basically what we're talking about.
Laura, some of these are absolutely hysterical. I'm just going through the site right now. We have people who drowned after falling out of a fishing boat correlates with the marriage rate in Kentucky from 1999 to 2010.
Yeah. I mean, you can
Amazing. Oh my
exactly, like, you can
god.
find a statistic that proves whatever it is that you're saying. So it's a good thing to note.
This is hilarious. Anyone who's bored right now, you need to look at this website. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
And so on a kind of a more serious note, there was one correlation that happened in, I believe, the 70s that actually kind of had the same thing. They correlated something that wasn't really supposed to be correlated, and it kind of led to some pretty big ramifications for America. I was going
Did
to cover
it?
it real quick. So back in the 70s, there was a correlation that was determined that the more saturated fat that you ate correlated with I think it was chronic, like death, like heart diabetes and heart fail. There's a heart.
Well, oh yeah, like
I forget what
you're more
the
likely to die of like heart disease and
heart
stuff.
disease. Boom.
Yeah.
So we find here in the 2000s here that was actually, again, one of these sort of false correlations.
Yeah.
Crazy, right? So
Yeah.
you
Eggs,
just
the exact same thing. Like, oh, don't eat eggs. They're bad for you. Oh, it turns out that's wrong. They're totally good for you. Just eat damn egg.
exactly. So you're right. This is the crux of our time, is we are just overloaded with statistic after statistic. So the source is so important, which is why, anyone who's sort of a social media person who just sort of, they get a tweet from somebody and that they report it as fact. I'm like, I don't. Where's your source? Who is your source? Are they
Exactly.
reputable? Because
Is your
it's
source spuriouscorrelations.com?
me and my
I mean,
brother
I'm not
often
saying that's
getting
bad,
my brother and
but
I
anyway.
my brother and I
So,
often get in like arguments because he's kind of more of a social media guy, and so he'll oh, I blah 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 this stat, and I'm like, well, who's the source? And he'll be, you won't really know because he hadn't really thought about it. He just sort of saw what was posted and assumed it as
yeah.
fact. And I'm like, yeah,
I mean,
you gotta have your
I can
sources.
understand that. Like,
Like, people
numbers
can say
are
anything
numbers.
nowadays.
Numbers are numbers, and numbers actually don't lie. Like, you don't, it's either this number or it's not this number. So, I mean, but it does depend on a lot of different factors. Like, well, what exactly? Are you talking about just margarine corresponding to the divorce rate in Maine? Does butter count? What about margarine that's like, I can't believe it's not butter? Like, what about that kind? What if it's like canola oil based versus olive oil based? Like, I don't know, man.
Hmm. Many
Cite your
variables.
sources.
Cite your
Very,
sources. Yes. Amen to
a
that.
very large beer. I might get off topic.
Please do. Please do. Okay, so let's continue. I'm kind of scanning
All right.
through this. So you
So
nailed everything. The
yeah,
Boeing
so like
guys go build the planes.
the
Apparently, they
hippies got
think.
into a bus. They
Mhm.
Area 51 a bust. You were saying? Sorry, I
Uh,
interrupted you for no reason.
oh, you're fine. So what? So tell me what happens next. So we have these
Oh,
Boeing people. They build the bombs.
yeah, they build it. They paint it like matte black paint so that they can kind of like get around radar. But that correlates with those those black V-shaped things. Like, oh, secret military black helicopters, stuff like that. Anyway, they paint them black. They get it all done. They big 4,000-gallon water tanks, and then they send all the hippies to Vietnam. And then military guys, they're like, the CIA, they're like, well, we're gonna fill up these tanks with bird poison. Wait, I made notes. I should look at my notes.
No, you're right. It was
Bird
exactly what
poison.
it was.
Um. Oh yeah, and that was when they began Operation Very Large Bird. That was the name of this super secret CIA thing. Yeah. So the poison they would release it from a height that planes fly, and
Hmm.
the idea was that it had to dissolve really quickly before it hit the ground, so that it wouldn't affect
Mm.
other wildlife and plants and stuff like that. So it would hit all these birds that presumably, I guess, were just flying because whatever. And the poison would get into their little bird bodies and start attacking their skeletal system. And then within 24 hours, the birds would completely dissolve, leaving no trace of the birds. So
The
that's
birds
how
would completely dissolve.
they completely dissolve. And that's like, wouldn't you notice a bunch of birds are dying?
I had the same thought
Not
as I was
if
reading it,
you
but
dissolve
not if they're
them with
dissolved.
bird poison.
Why did I not
Yeah,
think of that?
I'm telling you, for every question, there's an answer. So then what? You've got to so that gives you the perfect opportunity to release your bird prototypes, where they basically within 6 years they killed off 15% of the bird population and replaced them with millions of these bird prototypes, called, no lie, robot birds. They didn't call them drones because it was the 60s and 70s and drones weren't a thing.
I wanna backtrack a little bit just to read
Okay.
another thing from the site, if that's okay. This is
Please.
this is just hilarious. So
I'm
this
just
is back
skipping
to the.
along at a rate.
No, you're perfect. You're perfect. So this is about those Boeing engineers that were at Area 51. So
Right.
this is from the site. So one of the engineers, apparently, when they're trying to build those water tanks that you're talking about that were in the planes, one of the engineers almost gave up, it says. But Dools hit him over the head with a 40-pound wrench to try and, quote, knock some sense into him. This unintentionally put the man into a coma to which he never awoke. Scared out of their
Ooh.
minds, the remaining 21 engineers vowed to finish designing the airplane so they could leave Area 51 for good. This was a faulty dream, however, as none of the men were ever seen again.
They
So,
did.
so Dools was right there on the ground, not in CIA headquarters, bashing one of these guys in with the wrench, telling them to get their work done. And then you're like, eventually sent them to Vietnam to die. So that way
Yeah.
his plot could not be exposed.
Front lines, directly to the front lines. But
So
the thing
back
that
to
I
where
haven't
you were.
discovered is if any of them actually survived Vietnam. I mean, out of like 21 that eventually, 21 or 22, whatever, that went to Vietnam, there's really no mention in the story about whether or not any of them made it out alive. Presumably, this is my assumption, somebody had to make it out alive because somebody had to tell the story, man.
That's true. Yeah. Where would the story come from? Exactly. It
Exactly.
does
How do we
say,
know about this?
the website does say that
Surely
each of
not
the
just some
engineers.
crackpot on the internet.
So the story does mention briefly, it says each of the engineers actually survived for 3 weeks in intense
Ooh.
combat and were kidnapped by the Viet Cong after they ran out of ammunition, but they were never heard from again. So that's all we know, is that they were maybe captured.
So yeah.
So maybe, it doesn't say, maybe one of them was captured, later released,
Yeah.
and then came back and started, let us know the truth about the birds aren't real.
Maybe some of them still live in Vietnam. I mean, this was only 50 years ago, yo. Maybe they've been working with the Vietnamese to, I don't know, make better Thai food. No, that's not true. There's two different nationalities. That was really bad. I've had a big beer.
Okay, so let's back to where you were, right? The birds are decomposed from the poison, right? They just
Yes.
disappear.
Within 24 hours. And then they release robot birds.
And now, how are the birds built?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Okay.
But they outfitted them with little cameras, little cameras, little microphones. I mean, you would imagine that the microphones probably. I mean, you've got the website in front of you, and I have not
That
prepared.
is true.
But I would assume that the little microphone technology would probably get developed first, because it's easier to record audio than it is to record video, especially in the 70s.
True.
I mean,
True.
it would be like a giant camera mounted to, like, wow, that's a bald eagle right there. That's weird.
How cool would it be if you had your own little drone, but it was a bird that you could control? How freaking cool would that? You could just go
I did
fly
see,
it over near your friends, let the bird just chill, it's pecking, just doing its
yeah,
thing, and
there
you're just
is a
hearing
guy
everything that's going
online
on.
who built a drone out of a dead cat. Let me see if I can find it and show you. It's so weird, dude. Like,
Oh my gosh. Can you
yeah.
imagine? You're just enjoying a
Oh,
nice
you don't
summer
even
day
have to
at the
imagine.
park,
Hold
and
on.
this flying dead cat comes out of nowhere. And you're,
I'm
what?
trying to share the video with you.
Oh man, this is too funny.
Share screen. There we go. There it is.
Well, it's still. It says you start. Oh, here we go. He turned his dead cat. No,
Yeah.
stop this right now. This is not real.
This is totally real. Look
What
at it.
the flip? Oh my
The
god!
orville-copter.
No, no.
I admit the ostrich butthole is a little
Oh
disturbing.
my gosh. I don't know whether to be impressed or appalled. I'm
So, honestly,
a
it's
flying dead rat.
it's a little a column A, it's a little a column B,
That is
Oh, look, here's
amazing.
a flying shark. I didn't know they did a flying shark. Shark jet.
Shark
Oh, yeah. Oh, look, Das Boot. It's a
Whoa.
Badger submarine. Wow. Where are these people from?
Dude, that's hilarious. Okay.
Anyway,
um
uh,
that was
so
amazing, by the way. I'm glad you brought that up. That's hysterical. So a little more
I've
about
heard
the
that.
birds here. So apparently the reason that John F. Kennedy was killed was because he was the first president that was not going to go along with this whole robot bird thing. He was going to blow the whistle, and
Yeah.
he paid for it with
You know,
his life.
he's got JFK was gonna do a lot, man. He was gonna reveal the secrets of UFOs and how UFOs, like, well, aliens. I mean, UFOs are ships. The Greys, as one of the most common alien species, apparently had a deal with Lyndon Johnson to, like, in exchange for technology, uh, they could just take people for experimenting. Apparently, JFK was going to blow the lid off of that. Also, Marilyn Monroe, he had a relationship with her, so therefore she knew more than she was supposed to know. He was also going to blow the lid off of CIA mind control experiments. JFK was a busy man.
JFK is second to like Jesus, apparently, with all of these things that he was going to like reveal to the world, and he died. He paid his life died to.
It's true. That's no joke, man. I mean, I wasn't
Oh.
there, so I don't actually know, but this is what people say
By the
in
way,
certain
if you've ever
circles.
been to the JFK museum in Dallas, it is incredible.
I have never been to
It's
Texas. Can you believe that?
amazing.
Never been to
Yo, Texas is
Texas.
pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. I've been
But
there a
I
couple
would
times.
I would I would hella hit up the JFK museum. That sounds like right up my alley.
You would love it because it's extensive and they go through every part of his story, and they break down all the eyewitnesses who saw it
Mm,
happen. They break down all the different theories on what they think happened. They have all
yeah.
the video cameras of all the different people who took photos and where they were standing. They have a whole model of it, and it's like like if you're a conspiracy theorist, it's you're like, oh my gosh, was it really? Was he working with somebody else? Was there really another shooter
Yeah.
behind the grassy knoll who fired from the bushes? That apparently people claim that there was another shooter.
I
There's the whole
mean,
theory of
JF
the perfect bullet because his bullet like somehow
Oswald
went
was
like
an old
three
man.
sections of his
Okay.
body. Ah.
What happened to his brain, man? His brain went missing.
JFK's did.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, supposedly it disappeared from the morgue. Yeah. Nobody knows what happened to it. I mean, maybe like, I don't know, could have been just some morgue guy who was like, oh, it's JFK's brain. Somebody's going to want this on eBay when eBay gets introduced 40 years from now. Or maybe it was the government. Or it could also be the Men in Black, or the CIA themselves, or like scientists that want to preserve it in a laboratory. I'm telling you,
Maybe because you save his
so
brain.
many
Maybe we could
things.
bring him back someday. I mean,
Could
that would
be,
be that
could
brain
be.
contains a lot of information that we need to hear.
Maybe somebody took it in the thought that perhaps one day you could bring him back, and we really shouldn't bring back JFK's brain. So I'm just going to keep this in my wall safe, you know?
I think the first thing I do when I get to heaven is I'm gonna be like, all right, Jesus, it's cool to see you and all, but can I talk to JFK? Because I got questions. I
I
got
mean,
questions. I've waited my whole life to be here, and I need to see JFK pronto.
we
And
have
he's probably like
questions.
hey, get in line. You hop on the waiting list, and I'm like, oh
Yeah, there's a presentation that's going to start in just a few minutes. Go grab a seat. I mean,
man.
I don't know. I think if I ended up in heaven and Jesus was standing in front of me, I think
What would be the
the
first thing you'd
first
ask for? Yeah, what would be like? Who would you want to talk to? Right? Because
I don't know what my first question would be. I just feel like I'd be just sort of like, so you're the one. Okay. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you guys, you were the right one.
Like, oh, I had a
I
feeling you
was
were right.
wondering who this was going to be. I'm not mad about the fact that it's you.
Perfect.
You know?
There's got to
I
be
mean, 'cause,
somebody
like,
who is dead right now that you would like. Man, I'd love to pick their brain. Like, who would it be?
who is
Who
dead?
who knows who died with a secret? That's the question.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question, man. I mean, yeah, you're right. JFK is a pretty interesting one. You know what? Jesus would be a pretty interesting one. Like, hey, yo, tell me what really happened here. Like, because these are a little they were written like kind of a while after everybody that you knew died. So like, let's go through page by page, and you can redline this for me. That's what I want. I want him to sit down and spill the tea.
Mm, word. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
But then I want to go to the JFK presentation for sure, like 100%.
Uh, oh my gosh. uh, there was another thing from the Birds Not I wanted to read because it was really funny. I think I saved it here. Okay, so this was written at the end, and I died when I read this. So this is just I'm reading quote for quote here. It says,
Okay.
"By now you must be shaking with fear. The thought of your government doing these things is too much for you to handle. Can it really be true? Could the government have killed billions of birds and replaced them with robots? Yes,
Okay.
they did. But don't feel alone. At any point during the reading of this book, you are free to email our counseling department, support@birdsaren'treal.com, and we will walk you through the steps to mentally overcome this nightmare. I personally had to deal with this reality on my own decades ago. Now I'm giving you a service that I wish had been available to me at the time of my discovery. If you're currently experiencing episodes of excessive perspiration and muscle spasms because of what you've read, do not read chapter 3 yet. If the first few chapters shocked you, chapter 3 will bring you to your knees. Buckle up. This nightmare is just beginning."
Okay, so should I
So
email
good. I'm
them?
like, I have to read chapter 3. I need to
Right?
know.
But like, are you going to email the counseling department, or do I need to email the counseling department? Because one of
Oh
us
man,
needs to email and report back.
that's a good
Contact
idea.
us? Yeah.
I will do that. I will
Yeah.
email them. I'm curious to see if someone is
Oh
still
my God.
manning the
Yeah,
post
just be like, I'm
on that.
shaking with fear. I need some support right now. Like coronavirus and birds, it's all so much. Please counsel me. Please. Please. We're gonna follow this up in a future episode. Where in some point he'll have a theme song.
Oh man,
Are
I'm
you
trying to.
emailing him right now?
So chapter 3, the one that you need to not read if you're having muscle spasms. By the way, if you're freaking
Oh
out.
yeah. Oh
I'm
yes,
trying
chapter
to
3. Let's read
remember
chapter
what
3.
because I read through it once, but I'm trying to get a quick recap as I'm reading through here. I don't remember what it's about. I think it's more about the okay, here it is. Okay.
Okay.
I have to read you
Oh
this
my
part.
God. All right.
Oh my
Well,
gosh, this is
you should do
hilarious.
a
Okay.
disclaimer just in case. If anyone is
Mm.
currently shaking with fear
If
or
you need to turn
having
off this
anxiety,
podcast,
just skip forward a couple minutes.
yes, this could cause you to go into a shock that could maybe kill you. So you
I
need to be
mean,
careful.
just go with caution.
So
And
one of the
yeah,
questions here in the Birds Aren't Real community is how did they build these birds, right? How do they get so here's one way they did it. Said the government would send individuals to local nightclubs, bars, and would scope out a candidate who looked like they could assemble a robot bird. So you got guys coming in,
wait,
they're in the club, they're like, that person over there, that sexy
what,
dancer, he can build a bird.
is that the case? Is that the criteria? Like, who looks like a person who could build a robot bird? Do you know of anyone offhand who you think looks like they could assemble a robot bird?
Mm,
So probably somebody with
mm,
really nimble fingers because it's really small parts.
true,
Who has
true.
tiny fingers?
True. I feel like in this case, it's just whoever was dumb enough to believe. So this
Okay.
gets rich right here. So apparently they would tell the person that they've selected based on criteria we don't know that they are having a costume party with acid. Okay, so this
Oh,
person
acid.
who's
Yeah, the CIA was all about acid, yo.
so this
It's true.
person probably drunk, probably okay, yeah.
Tripping
So
balls.
so they give the person the acid, but it's not real acid. It's just sugar or some sort of placebo. And they then take this person on a bus ride to a bunker. So they'll take them like on a bus ride through the desert. And there they're given a toolbox and a pair of headphones that played Pink Floyd nonstop on these headphones.
Which album though? Like, I
I'm
mean,
not a
I've
Pink
had
Floyd
a
guy.
lot
I
of
don't know.
sugar and listened to Pink Floyd, and I've never built a bird. Or have I?
Laura, uh-oh. You might. So the
I
combination
mean,
of assembling a robot bird inside a five-story government fallout bunker led them to believe they were on the most insane trip of their life.
I see that doesn't okay, that part doesn't make sense to me. Because with the CIA's liberal use of acid throughout like numbers of documented cases, I find it hard to believe that they would give somebody a placebo. Like, you pick up somebody in the nightclub, you give them sugar water and tell them that it's acid, and then make them build a bird, or just see what they come up with. It makes way more sense to me that they would just pump them full of as much acid as they could before murdering them, and then shove all the tools in front of them. Because then you don't have to convince anybody that they're tripping out. Like, they're there.
They are tripping out. But can a person who is on acid be reliable to put together a robot bird, though?
Well,
Right? 'Cause they might be tripping about something else. They might think the bird is like, I don't know,
there's a
chocolate
lot of
and start eating
studies
it.
about LSD and their use in science and medicine and stuff like that. Like the guy who discovered the DNA molecule, like the little spirally thing, he discovered that on LSD. Like, it opened, so in theory, like the CIA was really into using it because it opens up different parts of your brain and makes you think around corners and in a completely different way. So, a lot of great scientists were tripping. We can talk about that another time too.
That's
Like,
true. That's true. We
yeah,
have all the time in the world with this whole quarantine thing.
CIA is.
And so that is how they built some of the birds. There's also stuff about how they used the Cold War as a way to build all these fallout shelters, right? That was big. Like, hey, nuclear
Yeah.
war, build. So they built all these underground fallout shelters, but that was really a cover so they could assemble birds in all
Oh.
these fallout shelters that were
Yeah, you can
created
kind of
in the Cold
spread
War.
it out. I mean, there's a fallout shelter outside of my apartment. My apartment complex used to be a military housing.
Seriously?
Yeah, yeah. So there's this whole underground fallout shelter. I
Is
mean,
it
there's nothing in it.
is it open? Like, can you go in it?
No, it's locked up. They used to open it on Halloween and they'd make a haunted house in one part of it. But the thing is massive. It goes under the entire complex. Like, it's huge. Absolutely enormous. It's got
I
to fit like 70 families in there, for however long, because it's a fallout shelter.
What happens if you like broke it open, or could you? Is it padlocked? Is it
Yeah,
cement
it's got like
doored?
this. It's got this really big, heavy metal door, as you would imagine, steps that kind of go underground, and the entrance is under the parking lot. And yeah, so you go underground in this giant door, and it is padlocked. I think that's all it is. I mean, I honestly think it's just padlocked. So yeah, we probably could go down there, but I don't want to because it's scary.
That's why you go down there, because you don't know
It's
what's down
really
there.
scary.
Maybe
It's so
JFK's
dark.
body's down there.
It's so
Maybe
dark.
they hid it there.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, we could, because like this. I mean, honestly, security is hardly ever here. And I mean,
One
who's
day,
securing?
one day, if there's ever a nuclear war, I know where to go.
Well, yeah, I mean, if this goes on a real long time, I might go stir crazy enough to go down there. But I've seen so many horror movies. Like I've seen the way that horror movie ends. I don't want to.
What is your
Abandoned
favorite?
travel shelter.
Are you a horror movie person?
Oh yeah.
What's your favorite horror movie?
Uh, you know. Uh, okay. I like foreign horror movies because I think like the Spanish do it real good. If you ever saw the movie Quarantine, or it was based on a Spanish horror film. Uh, and then there's a whole series called Wreck, which is a zombie sort of anthology series. It's so well done. The Spanish they will mess you up, man. And there's always like this religious bent to it, or more often than not, I should say, which makes it even darker and scarier. Like possession and stuff like that, like coupled with horrible zombie and contagion things. Um, more like accessible stuff though. Cabin in the Woods is a brilliant horror film.
Hmm.
Some people call it a horror comedy, but it's
Aren't
the
most
only
I feel like
movie.
most horrors are comedies.
But this one is the only one that I watched it, and then as soon as it was over, I immediately watched it again. Like I just hit repeat. It's fabulous. I've got it over here somewhere. I think it's on Netflix too, or maybe it's on Hulu. I don't know.
The only horror
Cabin in the
movie,
Woods is spectacular.
the only horror movies that have ever really gotten to me were Paranormal Activity 1, 2, and 3.
Well, the
Those
first one
shook me to my
was
core. I slept with my Bible for weeks. Any sound in my house,
yeah.
just
Uh,
it was a terrifying couple of weeks.
the
I'm not gonna
Ring
lie.
was like that for me. I would sleep with a. Did you see The Ring?
No, I never
I
saw
would
The Ring.
sleep with this girl crawls out of the TV and kills you. And then, so I slept with like a sheet over my television for literally weeks. It Follows was another one that still haunts me, and I have not
Ooh, it
watched it.
still haunts you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It stopped bothering me for a while, for like a few months, and then all of a sudden I thought about it again and was just freaked out all over again. Yeah, I like horror
Those
movies.
never really leave you. You know, they stick with you. Which I try to only watch them sparingly because
Yeah.
I gotta sleep. You know.
You
uh,
know, yeah. Anyway,
I want to give
see,
you
I told you.
one last birds aren't real little note here, just so you kind of where we're at now with the birds aren't
Yeah.
real. We have this was so we apparently Trump's in on it according to this website. Trump knows
I mean, he
about
would
the
be,
birds.
right? Like, he saw what happened to JFK. I mean, he was briefed on that when he took office. Like,
He was the
yo,
only one brave enough
this is what happened to
to
JFK.
die for it. So Trump's apparently in on it, and apparently they have different birds in different countries, and they are
Yeah.
programmed to not go cross border. And so you know how in 2016 when Trump announced that he wanted to build a wall, it isn't to actually block illegal immigration. That was not his intent. His intent was apparently that the wall would be encapsulated with thousands of microwave guns that can track any bird entering the United States and shoot it with a harsh microwave, which destroys the bird's ability to fly and will leave it deceased in under a few hours. So therefore,
Mm.
we can't be spied on by birds from other countries. So not those of you who are screaming immigration, he's not doing it for that. He's doing it to stop the spy birds coming
Stop the
over the
spying.
wall. Yeah.
Well, so my question though, it kind of comes down to like other conspiracy theories from, like Iran Contra and stuff like that. Um, did these other countries develop their own birds? Or did we, allies change, the world
Maybe we lent
situation
it.
changes, man. Did we give some technology to these guys and then all of a sudden, you know what? Hey, after a decade, we don't like you anymore. We like these guys. So did we distribute bird technology to the entire world, or did they develop it on their own? Do you have an answer, Tim?
I
Is it in
don't.
chapter
It's
3?
probably in there somewhere, but I skimmed through most of this chapter, so I only just
That's
picked out
okay.
key
I
points.
skimmed too. I skimmed too.
Apparently, if you leave the border, a bird might track you.
Yeah, I
It might
mean,
be if you see the
where are you
same
going?
bird, you're probably being followed because they need to track any person leaving the United States. So be aware.
Makes you
Be aware of
think.
that.
Makes you think.
I did read one more article because I wanted to have more than one source on this.
Oh, you did. You went to multiple
I
sources.
did. So this one is from Audubon, Audubon. I don't think Audubon. I don't know.
Oh, the Audubon, like the Audubon Society. The Audubon Society is a society that studies birds. I don't know if that's where you went, but Auto is
Okay, it's Audu, not Aut.
Audu.
Udu.
Yeah, Audubon.
And I think so basically it says that the person who started it was, let's see if I can find his name here. It was started in 2017 by a 20-year-old Peter Mekendo, I'm saying that right, an English and philosophy major at the University of Memphis in Tennessee. He first went live with Birds Aren't Real in January 2017 at a city's Women's March. Interesting timing.
That is interesting timing. That makes no sense.
There's a photo of him with a sign that says "Pigeons are liars." And apparently, he declined. This is Peter here. He declined to comment on how much money he's made off the T-shirts, hats, and stickers, many of which are out of stock for the Birds Are Not Real movement.
I mean, yeah, man, they have a great one that I really want for my birthday. I should show you. It says, "Birds work for the bourgeoisie." Yeah. Birds Aren't Real hats. Like, the merch is alive. You should check it out. And, you have to wonder too, like, did he just make all this stuff up because he wants to sell funny T-shirts?
I mean, there's definitely an incentive there. I'm noticing
I
for
mean, where
people
does
who
the
like
money
us,
go?
who find them interesting and funny and want to buy a Birds Aren't Real shirt for fun. There's a market for that. So if
There
you can,
definitely is. I
create
want one.
something that's ridiculous enough and real, and this guy's like really hardcore. Like if he is faking and he knows it isn't real, then he's got to really sell it like he believes it with the whole sign and doing all this stuff. So, but I mean, it might be pretty lucrative.
I mean, especially the way we are today with technology being what it is, it's real easy to find your tribe. I
Yeah.
joined my cousin is marrying this perfectly lovely woman. She's adorable. Her personality is fantastic. And she shared this picture from a group of Pleiadians and starseed children. And if you're not familiar with either of those, it's basically people who believe that they are beings of light from other dimensions, as well as from the Pleiades constellation. Yeah. Anyway, can't remember where I was going with that. Oh yeah, the point is, it's this entire group of people who talk about like their chakras and their light healing and their spiritual selves. And literally, if you read it, it's all new members. It's all people who have found each other and connected via their crazy because of the internet. I mean, I don't want to say crazy. Crazy dismisses everybody. They've found their tribe for sure.
They found their safe space,
yeah.
right? To
talk about ascension and
what they want to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I'll send you the link. You can join.
Join that specific group, or
oh yeah. I mean, if you want, like, you actually don't even have to join it. You can just look at it because it's not a private group. They talk about crystals and chakras and light healing and transmutation and downloading things into their chakras. It's a whole thing, man.
It's pretty crazy. I
don't say crazy. Crazy.
Oh, sorry, not crazy. I meant crazy and kind of
it's
like
interesting.
I meant it in not that way. I meant it as kind of like, hey, it's kind of like, well, maybe I did mean it that way. I guess I don't know.
You might have, yeah. I mean, we all kind of.
What I was trying to say was, I think that although our society today is so everything's science. A plus A has to equal A for B, or else no, this can't. No, the science. Everyone's like so focused on science that I think we don't think about, there is sort of a supernatural element in the world that is not explainable. That's even like our brains, for example, our thoughts,
Yeah.
conscious thought, right? No one's been able to actually figure out. No one has
What
been able to
even?
create a robot with conscious thought, right?
No, I
No one's been able
mean,
to create.
we don't even
There is an
know
element of
how our thoughts work.
supernatural that exists that even
Yeah.
science, as much as it can explain, still can't
Well,
explain.
see, the
So,
thing that I really enjoy, and I don't think science gets enough credit for this. For every question that science answers, there are a bunch of new questions. And I think what people don't understand necessarily or don't appreciate is that there is a huge element of mystery that is the foundation of science in general.
mm,
How does this work? Where does this come from? What is this thing? Why is this thing? And just because they're answering questions doesn't rule out that there's more to it. In fact, it just proves that there's more to it. No matter how deep we go, no matter what we discover, it just shows you that there's more to learn. And I think shutting down science completely or dismissing it completely as not having any kind of like faith and science can't go together
mm,
is a concept that I really don't appreciate, because I love science. And
mm,
the more I learn, the more I'm like, wow, this is so amazing. Like, why did all of this come together? So
mm.
I
Couldn't agree
I
more.
like science.
Couldn't
I'm
agree
a
more.
big fan of science.
Science
Go
and
science.
supernatural can't exist together. They just have to understand each other's limitations. We have to understand that
Yeah,
as much as science does explain, there is a limitation. It's not.
yeah.
It's sort of
They'll
not
be
its
the
own god in a way that it can explain everything. It can't,
right.
but it can explain a lot of stuff, and it can.
But they'll be the
You
first to
know.
tell you, like, this isn't the end of this. Like, we still
Mm,
don't know this, this, and this. Or we didn't even know that this, and this existed, and now we do, and wow, isn't that neat? So there's a lot
mm,
of awe and mystery in science. And I feel like for the most part, there's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of people that'll say like science just proves what it wants to prove. But I think that if you're actually a scientist, you're driven by the mystery itself. And you're not setting out to disprove anything or prove anything. You're just there to discover the different layers of that mystery. And I think that's cool.
mm. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
I feel like the things that we have, I feel like science can't explain yet is one, like conscious thought. Like why do we have a
Oh,
conscience? Why do we have a sense of right and wrong? Right? How does
yeah.
science
Mm-hmm.
explain that? Because we haven't been able to create another sort of fake human that has. I mean, I love the movies about all like, they create a robot and the robot gains conscious
Yeah.
thought and can now think for itself and now decides that it wants to live. You know, it can't explain black holes. Like, I don't know what the heck's a black hole.
Nah, man, we're
Do you
working
go
on it.
like
I
back in
don't know.
time? Do you use a portal to another dimension?
Is Matthew McConaughey back there pushing books off your shelves? Who knows?
Or
Yeah.
maybe it just sucks you up and makes you disappear into what? Into what? Science,
What?
tell me what do I
What?
disappear into?
What was literally everything before the Big Bang? Like,
Hmm.
from nothing came something. That's my favorite one. My favorite one, that when people are like, science denies God, I'm like, but hey, science is the first to be like, well, what was there before the Big Bang and why did the Big Bang? We don't know.
I
And
don't know.
but you're right. Science hasn't
Crazy.
discovered the black hole thing. Science has not discovered, uh, you know,
The idea of sort of
the algorithms.
do you believe that within our human bodies, do we have a soul? Does the soul exist, right? Like
When
why
where
do
does
we
the soul
have
exist?
a conscience? What,
You know,
how do, like, right? We haven't been able to recreate it yet. A
yeah.
real human
I
being.
was I was actually just listening to a podcast today, and I didn't get into the story, but they were talking about evidence to suggest that your immune system actually has a consciousness, which is why sometimes when people are terminally ill, or a lot of times before people get ill, they might have a dream about it, or have some physiological symptoms for no reason that kind of trigger their bodies to be like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should go to the doctor because I had this dream where yada yada yada, and it's your immune system as a thing that has awareness and like that motivation to survive. Really interesting stuff. Like I said, I haven't listened to that portion of the podcast, but I am looking forward to it.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Like,
There's
we don't know what has a consciousness and what doesn't. We don't know how our consciousness works. It's great.
Like, how do we have, how we have our hunches, or we have our, ooh, that's my gut feeling, there's sort of, there's connections between the heart and the mind, kind of, that sometimes you're even the muscle, this heart muscle can sometimes actually send signals to maybe the brain, which maybe gives you more of like a feeling on something, or, I think this is going to happen. It's just, it's crazy. I don't think we'll ever be able to, because I am a believer in the human soul. I'm a believer that there is an element of supernatural. So I don't think we'll ever be like, no one will ever be able to do what those movies do and actually recreate a human being that has conscious thought, that has the ability to like right and wrong, and why do I want to live, and why do I exist, to question those things.
Yeah.
Never.
But will they develop their own consciousness? Like, maybe it's not a human consciousness, a human soul, but is it not that thing's soul? Like, is a cat's soul the same as a human soul? No. Does your cat have a soul? I think it does.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Do you have any pets?
I do have pets, yes. 2 cats, 2 dogs.
Do they have souls?
I don't know, to be honest. I mean,
such as they are. I mean, they're not.
I'm assuming some sort of soul. Again, we're debating things that unfortunately we can never really.
I know.
Or maybe one day, if science ever advances far enough to be able to actually quantify what a soul is, how does something
These
exist?
are the questions you can ask Jesus when you see him.
Oh, absolutely. 100% I will be.
Alanis Morissette, whatever. It's pretty neat. So, and in my opinion, I feel like that just proves that science and religion should like really be married to each other, because you really need both to appreciate the other one. In my opinion. I mean, 100%. I watch a lot of movies. I don't know that you need to take my word for it.
No, I think you hit around the head. I'm someone who studies science frequently, and I find like you, I love it. I love learning new things, and I also know there's an element that can't be explained. That's why I do believe in God myself, and I believe that we were created in God's image, and because the way I look at it, there's a way I look at it, right? You can't disprove God, right?
Right.
And you can't prove him either.
Right.
So I have a choice here. I can either believe that there's no God and believe that there's maybe no purpose, because usually if you believe in God, it kind of comes along with, hey, he's created you for a purpose. He's created, your life has meaning. He's given you a certain set of skills and different things to accomplish while you're on earth, kind of thing, right? Which is cool. It feels good. It feels good to have a purpose in life, right?
Sure.
Or you could take the approach, there's no God. Maybe I was like, came from some chemical mixture that sort of like found its way together and then created me, and I'm this being now. And maybe that, I don't know if there's like where my purpose comes from, right? So if I have a choice between the two, and they're both a 50-50 shot of like, okay, I can't prove God, I can't disprove God, I can't prove Big Bang, I can't disprove it. It's 50-50 shot. Where do I want to plant my flag? I'm thinking, hey, I'd rather plant my flag to like believe that there's a God and believe that I have purpose in my life. Like, I feel like there's like, any sane person would be like, well, I'd rather just take a shot there, because it's 50-50 either way.
Yeah, it's
but
true.
I feel like
you don't know.
If I felt
you might as well look at it on a more positive, like might as well see it as the glass half full. But let me ask you this.
Exactly.
Isn't it like, if we sprouted from molecules that found each other and evolved, isn't that absolutely miraculous that the right combination would come together in so many different ways that we exist now? And there is something to be said that is the work of God.
Yeah, I was literally thinking the same thing. I thought, well, the two can actually coincide, right? God could
Yeah.
have created it, because it just said, I mean, it says God created us in the Bible. It doesn't necessarily give like, okay, well, he took this
Right.
chemical and this
I
chemical
mean, that
and mixed it,
7 days
but he could
shit
have done it that
stuff
way, right?
is
He could
like,
have, the way we
eh,
came together could have been he could have done it that way. I don't know the
you never know, man. And I wasn't there.
so
I don't know, but I think it's an amazing coincidence.
it is amazing. It's cool.
Yeah,
The human body is very, the more I study it, the more I just did a podcast the other day on intermittent fasting, and I kind of broke
of course you
into,
did.
I kind of, it caught, because I was researching it, and it made me think about just even the cells in our body, and how
Hmm.
each cell is like a little mini human almost,
Yeah,
who has a job, has a
it has
task
its
to
own
do with the
job and
body.
motivation and instinct for survival and reproduction and stuff. Yeah,
I'm like, I'm a human made up of a bunch of little humans,
yeah,
all like
and
working together to create this one human to exist. Like, I'm just like, I was just mind blown the more I
oh yeah,
studied it. I was like,
so
what
many
the
different
heck? This is so
things
cool.
have to come together in order for us to be the physical, even just the physical things that we are. And if you think about AI and stuff like that, aren't we creating AI in our own image to perform specific tasks and programming that we have decided? I mean, we kind of are.
What do you
You
mean by
look
that?
at robots in media and stuff, they always look like humans. We play God in our own way. And does that not allow for the creation of a different kind of consciousness? That we just don't have any sort of, like, I don't have any idea what it's like to be a cat
Mm.
and have those motivations and that soul. So it would be foolish for me to assume that I would understand an AI experience, if there is an experience.
I see where you're going. I see what you're
I'm
getting
just
at.
saying,
Interesting. Yeah,
man,
yeah,
there's that
yeah, yeah.
1%, that
Right.
1% of things that I just have no idea.
I know. I would so wish that I could experience just for like brief bits of time, because like obviously I have my own experience in my own mind, and that's all I have. And so I can sort of, maybe hear what people say or do and assume maybe my life
Mm,
is better or worse. Who knows? Like, we compare all the time. It's human nature as well. But like, I would love to truly just like, if I could just get into some like experience just for a day, like what their life experience is. I feel like it would shatter so many perceptions and so many things in my own life. I think I would be like, whoa, like, but
yeah,
obviously we can't ever do that. And it frustrates me that we can't do that, because I want to be able to see what that's like, to see if how different
yeah.
my experience is from someone else's experience. It would
Well, I think
have a
that
lot
you
of
actually, in
light.
particular, are pretty good about that. Like, you are genuinely interested and friendly with everyone. Like, you're interested. Oh, like, you're a completely different person than me. Tell me what your experience is. You're naturally very curious, which is
Hmm.
which is nice. It doesn't close you off to other people. I think that you're a very open person who wants to know about all of the different kinds of experiences that people have. And really, it's the only way that you're going to understand even a little bit of somebody else's experience is to just let them talk about their experience.
Hmm.
So you're already on the right track. You're not going to be able to learn about your dog's experience probably, but I mean, I don't know, maybe you can get on all fours and just putter around with your dog for a day and see what that's like.
I think that's why I love books about magic so much, because it like
Is this where we
it gives
talk
me
about Harry
the
Potter?
no, it's not even Harry Potter. Any books about magic, I'm obsessed with, and just sort of, because what brought that to mind is there's a show, or there's a book and a show called, oh, I'm blanking on it now.
Is it The Magicians?
Yes, it is The Magician, where
I
they
love that
actually,
show.
you remember they turn,
It's
so
horrible.
there's a
It's
part in the
like
book where
the
they
books are
turn
better.
into a pigeon. They're transfigured into pigeons. Have you read it or seen the show?
Yeah, I've seen the show and I've read the books.
You
They're a
remember the
lot of
part where
fun. I
they,
like the books more than the show.
yeah, agreed.
They're not without their problems, but they are very fun to read.
I think they're amazing. But you remember the
No,
part
they're
about the
great.
pigeons when they become and they experience life as a pigeon for like a month as they're traveling to the new school, and they come out of their pigeon and they're like, "Whoa, I miss being a pigeon because I was just so singularly focused, and just
Mm,
they could feel the different ways the jet stream was coming across their wings, and they had all these different instincts that birds have, and they were like, man, it was so cool to get to be a pigeon for a month, and then like it just
You
feels
know
that's so
what?
crazy. Like, what would that experience be like, right? Just to
It would
have
be a lot of fun. I always said that my superpower, if I could pick one, would be that I could talk to animals. But I also understand
a good one.
that being able to understand what animals think is probably not as exciting as I think it would be. I feel like it would be like food, sleep, danger, and squirrel. I I don't feel like it would be very fulfilling of me. But then again, maybe I'm just putting my own human spin on things that don't need it. I mean,
Mm.
it is funny that they turned into birds because birds aren't real. And we brought it all the way
Boom!
back,
Mic drop on that.
right?
That was awesome.
Let's go.
Oh
All
wow!
right. Well, we'll
Even
have to
my
talk about Finland another time because
yes.
I have to. My beer is broken and I have to go to the bathroom. I'm just gonna be perfectly upfront with that. Like I might
Okay,
as
I was
well.
gonna say we'll save. So our next episode will be on why Finland does not actually exist. It is not
Finland
real,
doesn't
people.
exist. I mean, to be fair, I've thrown a lot of different conspiracies at you. You can feel free to think about it and decide which one you want to talk about. Finland isn't real, although we have hyped that one, so maybe that should be the next one. We also have CIA LSD experiments. We've got JFK. I found a virtual tour of the JFK Museum.
Ooh,
I know. It's
that's
not
cool.
that interesting, but
Not as
I'm
cool as
sure
going
there's more
there
to learn.
for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, real quick before you go. I was gonna say
Yeah.
my superpower that I would love to have is
Oh, yeah.
time travel. Would be
Well, okay. We've talked about this before because you, as a white man, can pretty
oh
much go
yes,
anywhere. You
yes,
can go
and
back
that's
as
part of
far as
it.
you want.
That's
You can
part
go
of it.
forward probably as part. Well, I don't know about forward, but at least a little ways. And I, as a woman, time traveling would
Scary.
be burned at the stake until very recently.
You've seen that? There's a show, The Outlander. Have you heard of that show?
Yeah.
Where a
Well,
woman gets sent back. She gets
yeah. See,
time
she
travels
was
back.
gonna get
She's
burned
stuck.
at the stake, but it turns out she's a doctor, so she has some use.
Yep.
I do not have
No,
that
Laura. No,
kind
you're
of a.
cooking. Your beautiful, delicious cooking could be.
I don't know that that would save my life if I just magically appeared in front of a bunch of people who thought I was a witch, man.
Oh, I
I
know.
mean, that's a lot of pressure.
I agree that
Yeah.
that does play a role in the time travel being my superpower is that I am a male, a white male, and I would have a lot better odds of survival in different just based on how women have been treated over time.
I mean, just as a man,
Yeah.
like to
Yeah.
take whiteness out of it.
True.
Like as a dude, well, I mean, I guess there are a lot of ancient civilizations that did have more. They thought more highly of women than they.
Mm.
Somewhere
Yeah, it didn't like I'm sure you could
there
find
was a
places where civilizations were
yeah.
more like yeah,
There was a
women were
period
treated more
where
equally.
women who were primarily like shamans and doctors and things like that, like apparently there was a period where men were threatened by that, and then they started putting women to to the stake and all that jazz. um
She's a witch. She's a witch.
yeah, exactly. Basically, if a woman knew anything about science, like
Yeah, scary
she's
time.
gonna mess with you.
Scary, scary time. I
Puritan
can imagine.
Puritan stuff. We can talk about that on another episode too, sure.
Oh, we will. Laura, we'll definitely have you back on the show. This has been probably one of my favorite podcasts I've done so far. Just 'cause
Ah,
I know you're I love your humor, and I know because so you work at a comedy club as well, right? As part of
I
so
serve beer at a comedy club. I pick beer for the comedy club. If you need a recommendation, let me know. I can tell you what to drink.
White Claw. I
Do not drink that.
think it's delicious and somewhat healthy. Not
You'd
really.
be better off with a juice box and some vodka if you're gonna drink a White Claw. And I am
Word.
talking about like the little cardboard box of juice or a Capri Sun.
Word. That's a good point.
Anyway.
All right, Laura, don't sign off just yet. I'm just gonna stop
Okay.
the recording. For
Sounds
those
good.
of you who are listening, thank you for listening. This has been another awesome episode of Topics with Tim. We'll definitely have Laura back. We'll talk more conspiracy theories. If you're out there and you would love to be on a podcast, I would love to have you on. I truly believe that each person has, like me and Laura just talked about, a very unique experience on life, one that's just unique to you and you only, and you have an area of interest and knowledge that we don't have or others don't have, and that someone out there wants to hear what you have to share and what your experience has been like. So if you always want to be on a pod, message me, comment below. Love to get you on, and we could talk about whatever it is that you love to talk about and make it fun. So this has been awesome. We'll definitely do this again, and we will see you next time on Tim's Spiracies.
Tim's
I
Spiracies. Dun,
saw
dun,
it.
dun, dun.